एक मिनट रुक जाओ, रेडी होने दो. चलो ये कर लेते हैं. दिस कुड बी अ ग्रेट इंट्रो.
Hi, I'm Akshay.
Hi, this is Saurabh, and you are listening to the Founder Thesis podcast. We meet some of the most celebrated startup founders in the country.
And we want to learn how to build a unicorn.
Hi guys, this is Anurag. I am the co-founder of Girnarsoft, which you popularly known as Cardekho.
Can you build a unicorn from a small town like Jaipur? Don't think so. Well, we're pretty sure that after listening to this fascinating conversation between Akshay Dutt and Anurag Jain, the founder of Girnarsoft, you will change your mind. Anurag and Amit Jain were diligent in chasing the small town dream. They graduated from IITs and worked in software companies in the US. But they also have the DNA of entrepreneurship in their blood, along with a deep love for their family, which made them quit lucrative jobs and come back to Jaipur and earn there by doing business. They started a software services business and kept experimenting and pivoting to eventually form the Cardekho group, which is on its way to becoming a unicorn that takes care of all things around car ownership. Here's Anurag talking about his early childhood years in Jaipur.
So you were born in Jaipur only. Like, tell me about your family. Like,
So कंपनी 2007-8 में स्टार्ट करी थी, लेकिन कंपनी स्टार्ट करने के रीजंस बहुत ही पर्सनल रीजंस थे. एंड both me and my brother were born in Jaipur. The story actually starts in 1948 when my grandfather actually moved to Jaipur. और उस पॉइंट पे my grandfather's father-in-law, he was a doctor in those times, and in fact he was one of the first few Indians who had done their medical degree from London. तो 1930s के अंदर वो लंदन से डिग्री करके आए थे मेडिकल की, and he was a renowned doctor in Jaipur, and he passed away suddenly, all of a sudden. And only my grandmother and grandfather were married. My grandmother was the eldest child of that family, and उस जमाने में तो सभी लोग 7-7, 8-8 बच्चे करते थे. So my Dadaji's father-in-law left about 7-8 kids, with my grandmother as the eldest, who was married, and my grandfather was also 7-8 brothers and sisters in Lucknow. So originally हमारी family ऐसे roots लखनऊ की है. But 1948 में once my grandfather's father-in-law passed away, तो उनकी मदर ने मेरे ग्रैंडफादर के पेरेंट्स से बात करी कि आपके तो बहुत सारे बेटे बेटी हैं, एक बेटा मेरे को दो यहाँ पे ख्याल के लिए. And all of those things, there was like 8 children with one in the on the way in the pregnancy stage of my.
okay.
तो बड़ा ही मतलब troubling time रहा होगा, I'm sure. I can imagine. But culturally, my grandfather's father said कि ठीक है, मतलब I think it's a call of the art. So he sent my grandfather to Jaipur. He joined the Rajasthan Administrative Services and he retired as an additional secretary later on. And the point I was trying to make here was कि the family values and empathy for each other for doing things for the family was very high. My father was a officer in Reserve Bank. Again, like typical middle class government service wali family थी हमारी. And father actually in his 40s, when he was 41, he उस टाइम पे वो चल रहा था ये अपना मंडल कमीशन और 1991 की बात है, जहाँ पे ये सारे पंगे हो रहे थे. कश्मीर was flaming and मंडल कमीशन was here. So he got transferred to Srinagar when he was in Reserve Bank. The family didn't want to send him to Srinagar because of obvious reasons there. So he took a sabbatical at that point of time, and he learned हमारे tenants थे उस टाइम पे घर में, so he learned some bit of jewelry trade with them.
And Jaipur is very vibrant.
Jaipur was known for gems, so उन्होंने basically हमारे tenants के साथ बैठ के he learned a bit, and he thought I could do it, and then as luck would have it, he took a VRS, post 20 years of service, and then started a small time boutique jewelry trading business where he would procure from India and then he would go to US and sell it there. In fact, I remember उस time पे तो खैर इतनी अक्ल नहीं थी, we were in school, but when we grew up and went to IIT and started doing our jobs, I asked Dad कि what was the motivation of leaving a job at 41 and starting a business which you did not know and you invested all your savings in that. So he did reasonably well for a one-man army kind of a show. not like a great scaled business, but for where he was and where he kind of finished very जहाँ पे तो इसमें तो dad responded कि when I was 40, I realized that I did not want my kids to kind of go through the same struggle of finding a job. उस time school में थे हम लोग, तो obviously dad did not know what we would end up becoming. तो उनको लगा कि I should probably try to do something which gives my kids a platform to kind of build upon. तो उन्होंने बिजनेस स्टार्ट किया था कि अपने बच्चों के लिए शायद कुछ कर लूं कि वो अगर इसमें ज्वाइन कर लें. But as luck would have it, both Amit made into IIT, I also made into IIT.
You were two brothers. How many siblings were you?
Two. We are only two brothers. So both of us made to IIT Delhi, और उसके बाद obviously when you graduate from a premium college, you have better opportunities, better packets, better quality of life and whatnot. So we did not join his business. So he was doing his business alone with one of the nephews, one of the poorest kid. And तो उन्होंने मैं चालू तो तुम्हारे लिए किया था, बट तुम लोग इतने पढ़ लिख लिए कि मैं मतलब basically I did not ask you to join me. You can continue to do what you want to do. That kind of a sentiment he carried. और फिर जयपुर में पूरा बचपन निकला, एंड उसके बाद
तो आईटी के बाद both of you went into software field.
तो हाँ, both of us went into the software field. In fact, काफी parallel stories रही हैं मेरी और अमित की, because in the same family 2 years apart, we went to same school, then we went to the same college, then we both worked for US based companies, in fact Texas based companies. He was working for an Austin based company called Trilogy. I was working for a Dallas based company called I2.
Well, in the US, yeah, you were like in India.
We were in the US, but we both of us came back to Bangalore to work from the Bangalore office of companies.
So Jaipur के बाद like पहले IIT Delhi and then US and then Bangalore. So did it change your perspective on Jaipur and like
hugely जयपुर के अंदर स्कूल 12th तक थे हम लोग जयपुर के अंदर, and if I may say that उस टाइम पे मतलब जयपुर में exposure was not that high. Lot of the exposure and how to deal with things, learning जयपुर में we were like protected in the family environment. तो जो street smartness और वो सब जो जुगाड़ करना है, that was more in when we went to the college. मतलब both of us were not like geeky nerdy kind of students. हम दोनों ने मतलब in fact JEE 1 साल ड्रॉप करके दिया है, so we were not naturally gifted in the sense कि भाई 12th के बाद IIT क्रैक मार लिया, पहुंच गए, मेहनत करके पहुंचे दोनों. So hard work and determination basically got us where we were in terms of getting selected into IIT. Although family में मुझे ज्यादा बोलते हैं कि Amit is more hardworking, I am more gifted. So there's a trade-off between so but multiplicand is kind of the same, where I do lesser hard work but I get a better result, and he has to work a lot more there to get the same result. That was the original understanding that perceptions people had built about us. So खैर IIT पहुंचने तो in fact हम दोनों का birth date भी same है. We were born the same date 2 years apart. That's an interesting anecdote. 12 नवंबर को दोनों का बर्थडे आता है. So we used to say कि dad की maths बहुत अच्छी थी. Anyways, तो ओरिजिनल क्वेश्चन तो मैं बता रहा था, फैमिली वैल्यूज की चेन आते आते when we were in Bangalore, उस टाइम पे 2005 में dad unfortunately got diagnosed with cancer. So both of us basically then tried whatever we could to say, met all the doctors. I took him to MIT Stone in US, कुछ experimental drug try करी, ये किया वो किया, but so doctors gave him 4 months, but we could extend his life to about 15-16 months. So 2006 he passed away. And that's when we decided that we have grandparents. Two choices that we had. We were living in Bangalore. Amit was married at that point of time. I was single. The choice was that either we ask our grandparents, because dad was the only male child, and patriarchal setup, obviously you need to take care of the family from that perspective. तो grandparents को अकेला छोड़ दें जयपुर में with mother, या अपने पास बुला ले in Bangalore. Our third choice was that we come to Jaipur. So we decided ultimately, because of the whole lineage thing about being there for the family, that it will be unfair for us to kind of ask our grandparents at such an old age to come to Bangalore and settle with us, because you put a big tree and then ask them to plant it elsewhere and then expect them to have a good life there. So we thought, चलो हम लोग चलते हैं. Already there मतलब इतना ट्रबल चल रहा है फैमिली के अंदर. So भगवान ने 2 हाथ दिए, दिमाग दिया, कुछ तो कर लेंगे जयपुर जाके. That was the sentiment by which we came to Jaipur.
So both of you quit together only, like?
Yeah. तो both of us quit. और उसमें dad जब ill थे 16 months, so obviously when he was in the jewelry trading business, तो इसमें वो होता है there's a credit cycle. When you sell, you don't get paid immediately. So there's a cycle of about 5 to 6 months when you get paid. So he was also worried that what will happen because of the terminal illness he had. So I had taken a break from the job and went with him to meet all his customers to make sure that we tell them that there is somebody who is going to be there. So मेरे को dad introduce कराने के लिए लेके थे to take care of all the financials and whatnot. So I went with him. I met all his customers. हर शहर में आना उनके चलता था काम.
US में मतलब.
US के अंदर. I went to US to New York and LA and wherever his business was. San Francisco 3-4 शहरों में होता था. So went with him, did around, met everybody, understood from him किसका क्या है. So he made a detailed note on an Excel कि इस customer की ये details हैं, इसका ये है, इसका ये है. So he made a very elaborate kind of things. In fact, he also kind of told me how he sells, how he interacts. So I could basically do him doing all the hard work and grunt work on the field because उसके पहले तो मतलब अपनी job में we used to operate very differently. We always got a red carpet. But being a MSME, you have to kind of lead a very different life. तो काफी groundwork reality वहाँ पे समझ में आई basically dad के साथ चक्कर काट के.
You know, I must say that your father is like amazingly जिसको कहते हैं ना hustle and जुगाड़ का combination. Like from being an RBI officer, he learned how to sell, and not only did he learn how to sell, but he sold in the US. I'm sure he would have never gone to the US before this.
Yeah, it was first time.
I'm amazed कि कैसे सीखा होगा उन्होंने, पहले customers कैसे ढूंढने होंगे. मतलब आप बिना किसी.
Yeah, he used to carry a book of yellow pages, call up people from there. He kind of built a network from ground.
अच्छा. And क्या मतलब he was selling to retailers, like jewelry retailers?
So he was selling to wholesalers, and wholesalers would basically sell it to retailers. That's how the market operates there. इंडिया का जितना भी सेमी प्रेशियस जेमस्टोन्स का मार्केट है, people sell to wholesalers and then those people sell to retailers. That's the value chain.
Well, he landed in the US with samples and a yellow pages ka book, and then he just like hustled and amazing. Okay. So then like once he like did a handover and kind of taught you.
So he did a handover and dad के pass away होने के बाद obviously we had to go and tell the customers that this is what it is. So फिर उसके बाद मैं और अमित गए थे after his death, and we basically tried to collect money and also sell some of these goods. So jewelry में inventory भी बहुत होती है. So if you have to sell for 100 rupees, you need to have an inventory of at least 1,000 rupees. That kind of a ratio is there. So inventory भी dad की over the years built थी. So we both हम लोग new inventory तो add नहीं किया था, but we went with his goods and basically we sold as well as collected money from the market. तो एक चक्कर लगाया था मैंने और अमित ने, and then we realized कि we might as well try something in our field or line. And at that point of time, both of us reached out. I reached out to my employers and Amit reached out to his employer, and that's how Girnarsoft was born actually. Our ex-bosses gave us, so my ex-boss manager at I2 gave me my first piece of work in the company. उसकी भी काफी interesting story है. We were in LA that time. जब we had sent feelers because we realized that this is jewelry business is not something that we could do long term. So cash flow वगैरह data collection वगैरह हो जाएगा, but this is not something that we would end up doing all the time in Jaipur. So we had sent out feelers to our network.
के मतलब for software projects.
Yeah, for projects to outsourcing के software projects लेने के लिए basically. तो उस time पे one of my managers at I2 was a director there. He had quit I2 and he had done a startup in healthcare in Amsterdam, and he was a partner there. So he basically told me that he has an opportunity, but he can be an influencer, but not a decision maker because he's one of the 4 partners. So I had to go there, make a pitch, and basically get the product. But he would give me a platform to kind of make me pitch. तो मैं उस टाइम पे यूएस बैठा था, अमित उस टाइम पे जयपुर था, and it was like a he gave me a choice कि कोई भी आ जाओ मिलने, but I did a job in my operation research and software development. तो I2 में मेरा optimization, which is like OR बोलते हैं, उसमें और programming, इन दोनों के intersection में मेरा job था, and the project was in the same space. अमित का typical software development side में exposure था.
Product management.
Narayan था, Narayan was the guy who was my manager at I2. So he told me that it is better that if you come, because ये जो job है OR और development के intersection पे है, so a lot of OR knowledge will be beneficial in impressing people, and I know that you can, so figure it out. So both me and Amit decided ठीक है कुछ करते हैं, and we basically then went to figuring out how we reach there, because he told me it's a short timeline, you have to be there in about a week, and it is not something. So I was in US, I did not have a Schengen visa, that was the issue. तो अब उसमें इंडिया आओ, अप्लाई करो, and getting the paperwork done and then back, it was kind of the timeline was not getting तो फिर उस टाइम पे दिमाग में आया कि LA में भी एम्बेसी होगी, so although I have an Indian passport, let's figure it out, let's give it a shot कि कुछ हो सकता है कि नहीं हो सकता. So I went to the embassy directly. वहाँ पे Netherlands की embassy में चला गया मैं, just walked in and talked to the consulate officer there, explained my situation that I need to go to Holland for a emergency meeting. I am in US, I don't have the time to go back to India, and is there a way that I can get a Schengen visa sitting in LA from your embassy? So he basically said, it is possible, there is a way. Consulate officer ने एक list of documents दे दिए मेरे को कि you need to have a letter of invite from the company, you need to have this, you need to have that, फिर आपका ये आपका वो, तो पूरा एक paperwork दे दिया कि if you can arrange all this paperwork, then you can look at issuing a visa from here. We'll do a background verification and checks, and then it is possible. So then I worked with Amit to collect all the paperwork. तो जयपुर से जो आना था वो जयपुर स्कैन होके आया, वहाँ से हॉलैंड वाली कंपनी से जो इनवाइट आना था वो आया, जो मेरे को पेपर्स अरेंज करने थे मेरे वो अरेंज किए सारे, एंड सारा पेपर वर्क अरेंज करने के बाद in 3 days I was at the embassy, and 4th day I had the visa in my hand, and 5th day I flied out. So probably what learning, I mean, if I look back at the situation, I could have maybe decided कि यार हो नहीं पाएगा, but the idea was कि attitude was always कि भैया we'll work it out, कैसे भी हो we'll find the best way, never give up kind of thing. तो वहाँ बैठ के Schengen visa लगवा के वहाँ पे रखे मैंने pitch किया, and they were impressed by what we had to say. So they gave us a task कि we can't onboard you like that, there is no company at the back, there is nothing, first time हो रहा है ये, so we are risking our development with you, so we'll give you a pilot project and you work on this pilot project and deliver to us in a month. If you're able to do it, the project is yours. तो पहला प्रोजेक्ट फिर हम लोगों ने उठाया, it was in legacy VB language and whatnot. So, but being programmers, language से इतना फर्क नहीं पड़ता था because we were developers at heart, not married to any particular language. So both me and Amit kind of coordinated amongst each other and delivered the project in 2 weeks. So 4 weeks, but in 2 weeks we were able to finish and deliver, and we got the first project. And that's how actually the Girnarsoft's first client got onboarded, which was my ex-boss. The second project came from Amit's CEO, Trilogy के CEO से. So the product he used to manage at Trilogy, उसका development का काम हमारी कंपनी को देते हैं once Amit had quit.
क्या Trilogy क्या है, मतलब what is that company? I've not heard of Trilogy.
Trilogy is a company, Austin-based company, and I2 was the company that I used to work for. So those were companies in different software spaces in US, based out of US.
Like SaaS companies or something, like Trilogy?
SaaS तो भी नया आया है. They used to basically do software development services and configurator for insurance companies and auto companies and what.
Okay.
And I2 was into supply chain management.
Yeah, I've heard of, yes. Okay. So this was in early 2007 that you got these 2 deals.
Yeah, 2007-8 we got these 2 deals. 7 I think one learning here was that if you build a good working relationship, if you have a good rapport, if you have a good impression about your skills and capabilities, then there are people always willing to help you in the network. So we did all our jobs with a high amount of integrity and contribution impact. So उस perspective से basically the relationships helped later when we were in need of getting our first opportunity in the market out there.
Okay. So how much did you do as your revenue first year? मतलब 7-8 में?
First year revenue was actually more than what we would have made in our salaries. It was 1 crore in that time. तो हमारी salaries का combined होगा around 50 lakh के आसपास opportunity cost, and we made about 1 crore in the first year.
But उसमें आपके employee cost, office cost वो सब भी होगा ना? You must have hired a team and all.
So we hired about 20 people, and the first 20 people was the team. So we obviously did not hire from stellar colleges. हम लोगों ने tier 2 colleges के हार्ड वर्किंग मेहनती लोग, एक्यूमेन जिनका अच्छा हो, ग्रास्पिंग पावर अच्छी हो, तो ऐसे इंटरव्यू करके हम लोगों ने बेसिकली लोग हायर किए थे. सो पीपल बेसिकली, सो देयर इज टैलेंट आउटसाइड ऑफ आईआईटीज एंड एनआईटीज फ्रैंकली, बट जनरली क्या है कि एवरी कंपनी रन्स आफ्टर की ब्रांड नेम मिल जाए, बिकॉज प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ फाइंडिंग अ गुड टैलेंट फ्रॉम द बेटर कॉलेजेस इज हायर.
हाँ, मतलब इजी है ऑप्शन वो.
इजी, हाँ, प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ फाइंडिंग कॉलेज, आप लेट्स से इट्स बेटिंग, राइट? So probability of somebody doing a better job from a premium college is higher. That's the only difference. But there is talent outside of those colleges also. So we personally interviewed a lot of people, and then we shortlisted a bunch of candidates from tier 2 colleges whom we felt are worth investing into, and that formed the core of Girnar. So unki actually initial salary to unki anywhere between 5,000 to 10,000 monthly होगी उस जमाने के अंदर. So our payroll bill was not very high. We could sustain those payroll bills because we hired only freshers, no experienced people. Freshers को hire किया था, and they went on to become the core layer of Girnar. And at that point of time, for the first 6-7 years, post that obviously the team is much bigger, much larger now. But initial journey के अंदर everybody played a pivotal role in getting to where we are.
वो 2 customers से आगे कैसे growth हुआ? Like
2 customers से आगे से basically then we kind of opened up the overall ecosystem that we are willing. So we did not actually grow that business a lot, frankly. 2008 में once we built some cash bench, the vision was always to do something in the consumer internet space. So we started in 2008 January.
बट वो कंज्यूमर इंटरनेट स्पेस में इतना अर्ली विजन आपको कैसे आया? उस टाइम पे तो कोई एग्जांपल, मतलब आज के दिन में देयर आर सो मेनी एग्जांपल्स, एंड मतलब एवरी अदर डे सम कंपनी इज बिकमिंग अ यूनिकॉर्न एंड पीपल आर इंस्पायर्ड कि हाँ D2C या SaaS या यू नो, बट 2008 में तो कोई एग्जांपल्स भी नहीं थे. तो हाउ डिड यू डिसाइड कि इंडिया में कंज्यूमर इंटरनेट बिजनेस करना है?
सो उस टाइम पे इफ यू रियलाइज दैट यूएस के अंदर ई-कॉमर्स वाज already started to kind of play footprints into people. India में उतना penetration नहीं था internet का, but it was a matter of internet penetration. So we realized that what has been happening in the developed countries, India is maybe just a decade behind. And once the problems of internet get solved, all these things will be digitalized. So that's what we, and coming from staying in US for some time, working with companies who were US based, so we realized that this is like an opportunity that India is kind of looking at in that time frame. तो हम लोगों को basically था कि we did not want to be a services company, because वहाँ पे क्या है कि number of, आपकी जो growth है, it's a function of number of people. There is no IP such. So we wanted to build a company which has IP, and then you can basically build a scalable product from a revenue standpoint, which can basically sustain beyond the number of people that you hire. तो इसलिए हम लोगों ने बेसिकली वी स्टार्टेड इन्वेस्टिंग आर प्रॉफिट्स दैट वी वर accruing into these consumer internet space businesses that we wanted to do.
तो वो कैसे शुरू हुई जर्नी? लाइक what were the experiments you did? And
we were a tech company at heart, so we were not like a auto background के बंदे नहीं थे, tech engineering background के बंदे थे. So we started 4 portals at the same time. The 4 portals were inspired by different genres of life. एक portal हमने start किया था My Astrology Horoscope, because our grandfather was an astrologer. So we kind of built a simulation of Vedic rules of astrology, and kind of built a engine which would simulate a human brain on how to interpret Janapatri and give predictions.
Okay. Well, आपने एक algorithm बना दिया, and you like set it up as a service के अपनी date of birth enter करो और आपको अपनी वो मिल जाएगी.
Correct.
Okay. And वो paid service थी?
Paid service. You could get one free report and for other reports you need to pay. We built a portal in selling silver jewelry online, and usme, because again inspired by dad's connects in the market, we had suppliers in Jaipur, and the arbitrage of selling silver jewelry online in US was very high. So we started a portal called My Jewelry Deals, where we were selling online jewelry by procuring from local people and selling it in the US.
इसका My Jewelry Deals में you were handling logistics also, yeah? It was just a
We were
market.
handling logistics also.
Okay.
We used to ship to the end customer, which is why this business did not work out, because the logistics cost was not viable from a retailer standpoint. And the third portal we started was ekkadas.com, which was a virtual stock trading platform. So, us time pe how to make money from money and all those things basically were we were learning and doing trading us point pe. So we created a portal out of that virtual trading part. And the fourth one was Cardekho, which basically got inspired from our visit to Auto Expo in 2008 January, where we had gone and we were kind of going stall by stall collecting brochures, whatnot. So we felt that there has to be a better way to kind of look at all this data in one go. So we basically filled our car with all the brochures, came back to Jaipur, and deployed a team to kind of digitalize all the brochures and create that first research platform of Cardekho. So in 2 months, in less than 2 months, the first version of Cardekho was out. So were the other portals. So probably, if I can look back and say that we were agile in identifying opportunities, but we were also agile in perspective of what is growing, what is not growing. We created a highly measurable system. We created milestones ki is product ko yahan se yahan leke jana hai. So things that don't work had to be killed. These things that worked had to be further innovated, and things that partially worked had to be pivoted. So all those learnings, if I look back in the long journey that we have had, there have been so many instances where we would basically decide कि यार ये नहीं करेंगे अब से, or let's stop investing into this business. कि ये portal बंद नहीं कर सकते, there is no point. So, we were very objective into taking decisions and investing into all those things. और उस point पे जैसे 2008-9 time frame, वहाँ पे we were in the game for building a sustainable business. In fact, that's the core DNA of the company. कि धंधा valuation के लिए नहीं है, investors के लिए नहीं है, धंधा धंधे के लिए. The company last longer than the promoters itself. So sustainable business बनाना है तो obviously profit, EBITDA, ये सारी चीजें देखनी पड़ती हैं. So we were investing in a limited capacity. Whatever profits we were accruing from the services business, we were reinvesting back into these kind of businesses. और उसमें सबका एक बजट होता था. अगर वो नहीं, उसके return expected जो था वो नहीं आया, then we would basically taper down the investment in that business, or even shut it down completely, as was the case for Ekkadas in the jewelry portal that we eventually shut down.
आपने कब shut down किए? ये like
Within 1.5 years.
अच्छा, okay.
We realized that this is not the right space or where you could basically build a profitable business by investing very little amount.
And you were also spending on marketing, like Google ads and all that?
Nothing. So what we basically, I think if you realize the history of Cardekho till we raised money, and we raised money very late in the cycle, we had zero marketing dollars spent. Zero. Literally zero. We even did not have a Google ads account, to be honest, till the point we raised the first funding money. So what we learned or cracked was, and Amit was very good at it, was SEO, which is search engine optimization. So we were probably, if I may say, the best in the country to do SEO for our websites. And because of which our customer acquisition cost was zero. And you invest into content and user experience, and traffic comes as a byproduct. The long-term benefits of doing this are very high, because the biggest cost for consumer internet companies, and we had learned this during our working of the organization and looking at other companies, that CAC is the biggest cost. If you can somehow reduce CAC, बाकी businesses line up कर जाते हैं. So in 2010, Cardekho was the biggest portal in terms of traffic in India, and we topped Comscore. And then suddenly people realized कि Cardekho कहाँ से आ गए? तो मतलब नाम भी नहीं सुना था. How this company Jaipur से कोई company आ गई है.
So when was this? Sorry, in 2010 you said?
10, yeah.
So within 2 years of launching.
Within 2 years of launching, we were country leaders in terms of traffic.
Huh. Okay. Like traffic overall, yeah, for auto sector.
Auto, obviously auto. I'm talking about otherwise generic news sites and those sites will have a bigger traffic base for sure. Auto sites के sector के अंदर we had top comScore और typically जो OEMs होते हैं who do digital advertising उस time पे pie obviously बहुत कम होता था, but they would basically to look at comScore reports and then decide on who to give their media inventory to.
तो आपका इसमें revenue was like advertising basically.
Initial revenue was advertising, and Cardekho AdSense optimized initially. We did not used to sell media. We did not know how to sell media inventory to these OEMs, so बिकती भी नहीं थी, but we had integrated Google AdSense. तो उससे revenue आता था, and Cardekho पे छोटी सी टीम थी, so we used to balance the spends on the portal and the revenue it was making in a way that हम लोग sustainable business की तरह grow करते रहे. In fact, 2010 में Cardekho itself, I'll forget the services business which was funding it initially. But within 2 years, Cardekho itself was also profitable. Our engineering cost was also not very high, and there was no marketing spends. So from that perspective, we were able to make Cardekho profitable within 2 years of launching.
So Cardekho was essentially for new car buyers who want to research कि क्या models हैं, किस price पे है, क्या specs हैं, like that was the
first version of the website. But later on, we added a lot more features around other initiatives as well. So, but initial version, you're right that it was primarily focused around new cars and research around new cars.
Okay. So 10 में then once it became profitable, did you continue B2B services also? Yeah, you like
So we actually learned all those things. जो जैसे कंपनी की needs बढ़ती गई, हम लोग सारी चीजें सीखते गए समय के साथ. Agility थी basically करने में. तो हमको I remember पहला email आया था एक एजेंसी से. They were working for OEM and they said कि they want to buy some inventory. And we at that point of time OEM agency कैसे operate करता है ये भी नहीं पता था. So we figured out कि CPM क्या देना है इनको proposal में deck के अंदर ये भी नहीं पता था ढंग से.
So just for our listeners, if we can just define these terms, OEM, CPM.
OEM is auto manufacturer जैसे मारुति, टाटा, हिंडई, इनको OEM बोलते हैं, original equipment manufacturer. And जो CPM is advertising term जहाँ पे cost per 1000 impression होता है कि it's a rate at which you sell media inventory. तो एजेंसी जो था, तो OEM जो ऑटो मैन्युफैक्चरर होता है, उनको अपना डिजिटल बिजनेस चलाने के लिए दे टिपिकली हायर एजेंसी लाइक ओगिलवी और कोई भी हायर कर लेते हैं. वहाँ पे ये लोग बोलते हैं कि ठीक है हमारा डिजिटल बिजनेस का तुम संभालोगे, यू डिसाइड वेयर टू स्पेंड, वी विल गिव यू द बजट. एंड देन द एजेंसी डिसाइड्स कि उनका जो बजट है उसको कैसे अमंग्स अदर प्लेयर्स बांटेंगे, कितना गूगल, कितना फेसबुक, कितना प्लेयर्स को, कितना स्मॉलर साइट्स को, कितना न्यू साइट्स को, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा. तो वन ऑफ द एजेंसीज रीच्ड आउट टू अस कि ये हमको आपकी इन्वेंट्री चाहिए because we had top comScore and we did not know even what CPM to give because हम लोगों ने तो Google AdSense लगाया था. AdSense लगा दो तो फिर basically it's nothing in your hands. आप तो बस एक script लगा देते हो and then basically at the end of the month you get a check. तो but then we talk to people in the industry जो यार दोस्त के नेटवर्क के अंदर कि क्या दें क्या नहीं दें, फलाना ढमकाना करके we basically gave them proposal. And we also then did tech effort to make slots on the website to cater to these advertising slots. And then, so ये सारे businesses हम लोग साथ साथ सीखे. फिर बाद में ऐसी एक बार lead selling का भी ऐसी start हुआ था कि dealers and OEMs want leads. तो lead बेचने का business भी ऐसे start हुआ था कि pricing कैसे करें, ये कैसे करें. So we learned everything.
वो कब start हुआ like lead selling?
2011 में. तो it was not very far apart from when we started media. बिकॉज ये जो मीडिया खरीदते हैं कंपनीज, यही लोग लीड्स भी खरीदते हैं. तो मार्केटिंग डिविजन्स ऑफ ऑटो मैन्युफैक्चरर्स दे आल्सो बाय लीड्स थ्रू दीस चैनल्स.
तो ये अगेन दे ओनली रीच्ड आउट टू यू कि हमें क्वालिफाइड लीड्स चाहिए या?
यस, दे रीच्ड आउट.
Okay. So then you started asking people to enter their name and phone number as a way to.
Yes, we would start collecting leads and details of people, and with their consent we would basically sell the leads to the manufacturers. But 2010 से हमारे पास बहुत सारे फंडिंग के ऑफर्स आने लगे कि आप है ना हमसे पैसे ले लो, टर्म शीट्स आने लगी कि we want to evaluate you, we want to look at your company.
What kind of investors, like global VCs or what? Like
global VCs and the people who were starting to become active in India at that point of time. तो जिनको auto sector में preference थी, they were like 2-3 companies to look at only in the auto sector. We were one of them.
Who were the others at that time?
Carvale was there.
Which I don't think is there today, no?
Carvale got acquired by Cartrade, so it still continues, but it is less than half our size now. It used to be a formidable competitor, but after its acquisition, we kind of accelerated more, and I think we have a larger pie of the market now.
Okay. And who else?
Mainly ये दो थे, बाकी small little portals थे जो कभी not worth mentioning of in that time frame. So in fact, Carvale जो portal था, they got investment by Axel Springer in 2010 time frame, and they basically started to do heavy marketing on stuff. We were also getting term sheets, but we did not accept any of the term sheets. We had accumulated a profit in our banks because of the services business that was running, and we felt that if we can spend all the money that we have spent from the services business, तो फिर अपन फंडिंग उठा लेंगे. तो दैट वाज अ डिस्कशन बिटवीन मी एंड अमित कि यार पैसा उठा लेते हैं फंडिंग का, बट पहले जो पढ़ा है वो तो खर्च करना सीख लें. तो we did not take money for a good 3 years, and 2013 के अंदर then things were starting to heat up, and we did not want to lose on the bat. हमारा सारा जो focus था traffic and media and leads इसके ऊपर था, and we had a realization that to build a sustainable business, you need to have a long-term strategy and a long-term brand. You can't be relying on, let's say tomorrow Google changes the algorithm, you get screwed in terms of start getting no traffic, and then what do you do? Because you're not a brand. So we felt that, and Cardekho was profitable by then in a big way. तो हमें लगा कि यार अभी जो है ना time है that we should raise money and start to build into various different kinds of revenue models, and also strengthen the team, because this opportunity is very big. I mean, if people are trying to start valuing us at this number, so there must be a big business that can be built out of this. So let's not try to be a company which is frugal in terms of its cash reserves and is not able to scale because of the capital gain. तो हम लोगों ने फिर प्लान बनाया कि इसको ऐसे ऐसे स्केल कर सकते हैं. न्यू कार डील्स के साथ ही काम करेंगे, एंटरप्राइज में काम करेंगे, फाइनेंस सोशल सर्विस में काम करेंगे. तो अलग अलग चीजें सोची, और फिर देन वी थॉट दैट लेट्स रेज मनी. तो एक ऑफर था हमारे पास, एंड सिकुआ केम इन एंड काइंड ऑफ स्वीटन द डील अ बिट एंड ऑफर्ड a term sheet. So we directly did a Series A. That was in the second half of 2013. So ये first funding थी company, and directly did a Series A, and the perception of company changed a lot post that, and although we were the same people in the same company, अभी भी वही, but I think all these milestones also give you some kind of a spot where people view you differently.
Like at this stage, जब Sequoia ने आपको fund किया, like who else was there in the market? Same competitors, या were there more people also?
Primarily Carvale ही था in the market at that point of time, and we used to be neck to neck with them in terms of what we were doing and what they were doing.
Okay. And what valuation did you get? Like if you are at liberty to share?
So it was a reasonable valuation in terms of number तो reveal नहीं करूँगा, but it will give the dilution otherwise. But it was reasonable valuation. I mean, it was bigger than any of the offers that we have had before. मतलब close to 100 आप ऐसे मान लो मतलब.
Okay, got it. ठीक है. So which is like मतलब overnight you became like almost like like probably amongst the wealthiest people in Jaipur. So, how did that change you? Like,
वही तो बोल रहा हूँ, we were the same people, and even today we are the same people. It does not change you as a person or the company, but it changes people's perception of you. So that definitely changed, because all the newspaper coverage and whatnot, then you start to being treated differently at times.
Yeah, but did you enjoy that? Like, the going into a different kind of a
Enjoyment is not the right expression to define it. I think मैं तो काफी मतलब वो हूँ differently natured in terms of we keep generally company में promoters we keep a low profile. We are not that aggressive out in the market. जहाँ पे हर forum पे आके खड़े हो जाएं और basically we are doing marketing of our own profile but not work for the company. So we focus on working for the company more. So the limelight के अंदर है ना, it was not something that we both craved for too much, frankly. So groundedness थी मतलब basically if I may put it in that words.
Okay. So how did the company change after the funding? Well, once an investor comes in, then there is a different type of approach because then the investor expects you to spend that money and show much faster growth than what you have shown in the past. And so the approach must have changed then.
Right. So we changed gears. So company का जो basically funding raise करने का जो plan था, उसके बाद the gears got changed a lot in terms of what we had been doing, the way we have been doing. So we expanded the team. We opened our first Google AdWords account, tried to capture on traffic where we were not getting enough leads or models. We also acquired companies which were synergistic to our business.
Acha, like?
हम लोगों ने गाड़ी.com acquire किया था, Nasper. So Gaadi was also one of the competitors, which was almost half to our size in traffic. Carwale was almost equivalent. तो हमने गाड़ी acquire किया Nasper.
New car segment में थी वो भी.
Gaadi and us and Carwale, both basically all of the companies were in both new and used, but we were heavy on new and they were heavy on used. So segments website पे दोनों ही थे. But गाड़ी का जो used car का जो offerings थी, they were better, and हमारी new car offerings were better. So we kind of bought गाड़ी from Naspers, and along with the acquisition, Umang joined the company as a leadership in a leadership role. So and along with the गाड़ी, we also acquired Zig Wheels from Times Internet Group. So
okay, which is like a media property.
So Zig Wheels was also auto property, but from a media house.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It was like focused on transactions and like, or was it?
No, again, research on. It was more like an editorial focused kind of a portal. So in a way, it was a new car focused media property.
Okay. So, and did that work out well? Like Zig Wheels and Gaadi acquisitions, like, how would you rate them?
Amazingly well. Both the acquisitions worked really well. But having said that, I mean, we did about 14-15 acquisitions of smaller enterprise firms, which were basically helped in building backends. Some of the acquisitions also did not work. So it's not that all things that we did worked like a charm. So they were also, what you see is, so we would have planted a lot of seeds, and the world sees the shoots that have grown out of the seeds that worked. But there have been a lot of seeds which also did not work.
Same thing which you did in 2008-9 में जब आपने 4 एक साथ शुरू किए थे. The same approach you took basically.
So that approach we actually take every year if you think of it. We do some bit of innovation which we feel can be a growth lever in 5 years from now. So as a company, you have to think a decade ahead, right? I mean, आज जो आप कर रहे हो, you will not be doing the same thing in 10 years from now. That is guaranteed in the current environment. तो आप आज कुछ करोगे जो आपके नेक्स्ट 5 ईयर बाद कोई ग्रोथ अपॉर्चुनिटी का लीवर बनने वाला है, उसका सीड आपको पहले ले करना पड़ेगा. You can't lay that seed later on. So in that sense, we still are a company which feels that we have a incubation leadership team in the current size that we operate today. थोड़ा formalize कर दिया है. But that incubation leadership team's role is not EBITDA management. It is more about planting some seed which can become a growth lever at a later stage. So, for example, our financial services business, our insurance business, those are the seeds that got planted in 2015-16 timeframe and are doing very well now.
Tell me about them.
So, insurance is, we have a portal called Cardekho, where we are selling online policies for auto insurance, and now we have diversified into health and terminal both.
Okay, like you're a competitor to Policy Bazaar in that business.
In a way, yes. So we started with auto as a background because that was our, let's say, sweet spot of the relationship that we had. But in a way, now we are competing with Policy Bazaar there. So we are in fact doing almost a lakh policies a month in that business now.
Okay, amazing. Okay. And you said financial services also, you planted the seed in 15. What was that?
Financial services is more about creating a banking platform where you aggregate all the banks on one side, and on the other side you have dealers who can basically punch in their loan files for used cars. So new car में तो loan penetration is very high, almost 75% loan penetration है, but used cars में 15% के आसपास है loan penetration. And जब used car का loan थोड़ा महंगा भी मिलता है, but still the industry is not penetrated. So there's a huge opportunity there. And we basically built a platform where we would match dealers to
NBFC.
NBFC and banks both.
Mm-hmm. And what is that called?
It's branded as financial services. It does not have a retail view. So Cardekho के through brand में करते हैं हम लोग, brand वही है, but there is not a. But eventually we'll also convert this into some opportunity which we feel at the right time pivoting into the retail space. लोन देखो कर देंगे कुछ आप देखो फैमिली
राइट ओके और क्या आपने एक्सपेरिमेंट्स करी लाइक once the funding came in? Tell me about the experiments that didn't work.
So we did roadside assistance where we had acquired a startup which we felt that in the car ownership space that might do well because of the base that we had on customers, but that did not fly very well. We had to shut down that initiative. And
क्या इशू था, मतलब सेल्स नहीं हो पाई या क्या था, मतलब people were not willing to pay for assistance या?
I think ऐसा नहीं था. It's more about management bandwidth. देखो, all businesses are good, but you need to have the right management bandwidth and brain time to grow that business. And the kind of so after funding, we spread ourselves so thin that we were not able to focus on all the opportunities that we wanted to chase. So you can't chase all the opportunities at the same time, and that's a learning that we have carried now, even today. That focus on 2 or 3 things. Don't try to divide your attention too much, because if management bandwidth is not there, you can't get that alignment with people. So BU head tha, he was not able to scale the business, and we were not in a position to help him too much because of the other spreading of opportunity. ऐसा नहीं कि रोड साइड असिस्टेंस का बिजनेस होता नहीं है फिर अच्छा नहीं है, करती होंगी कंपनी, जो करतियां कंपनी इस सेक्टर में हैं अच्छा कर ही होंगे, आई एम श्योर, बट वी वर नॉट एबल टू डू इट. सो आई विल नॉट ब्लेम द सेक्टर, आई विल ब्लेम दैट वी डिड नॉट हैव द राइट bandwidth and management team to look at it.
Okay. What were some other experiments that?
Warranty का business हमने start किया था, which also failed. We felt that people want warranty,
extended warranty
on used cars. So as a product offering dealership पे हम लोगों ने warranty start किया था, which also did not work too well at that point of time. वो हम लोगों ने थोड़ा सा half-hearted, मतलब dealerships did not sell it as much, which they could, and then we kind of rolled back the warranty program a bit. But insurance and financial services started to get traction, and we basically then started to double down on those opportunities at that point of time, which is giving dividends now.
And your services business is still going on, or have you shut that down?
So we didn't shut it down. It is a non-core business, so we call it non-auto solutions now. It generates healthy EBITDA for us, but we did not shut it down because of the relationships, and then there's a BU head taking care of that business in a smaller way. But we are not bullish or aggressive in terms of growing that business to a large scale.
Okay. And service business is still like working with foreign companies for their software products?
Yeah, mostly around that, Europe and US. Some bit of domestic as well. We are trying to pivot that business into building enterprise SaaS products for the market now.
Like what? Like what do you mean by like HR and finance?
We have a chatbot platform, bots. We have a LMS platform which a lot of OEMs have adopted to now. So enterprise SaaS solutions products में हम लोग pivot करने का उसमें initiative ले रहे हैं, basically create a suite of products which basically enterprises can use.
Okay, got it. Okay. And how did the core Cardekho platform evolve from 15 to now?
तो Cardekho की जर्नी जो है पहले न्यू कार फोकस थी. Then used car mein we started to do classifieds and built a partner solutions team which could basically go and interact with all these used car dealers and try to sell them packs for classifieds. Then ये इंश्योरेंस की लीड्स और फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज वाला जो मैंने बताया था वो आया. एंड देन लेटर ऑन सीड्स हमने शो किए थे उसके कंज्यूमर ऑक्शन बिजनेसेस के. सो वी हैड लाइक अ बैंक ऑक्शन बिजनेस which we did with the insurance companies and banks of their repossessed vehicles and salvage vehicles to sell to dealers. So we did a B2B auctions business first, and that is a profitable business for us today. And then later on, that business got expanded into a consumer auction business where we basically opened stores and we are buying from customers their cars and selling it to dealers. And that was the natural extension of the B2B auction business. It is where Cars 24 is a competitor now. And we also did the international expansion. So we opened research portals in emerging markets, and out of which we are heavily focusing on Southeast Asia as a region. So yeah, as we speak today, we are the biggest research portal in new cars in Indonesia in the brand name Otho.com. And we also have a portal in Philippines which we acquired and then merged with our offering. And we are looking at Malaysia and other geographies there now. So this basically relates into the theme that I kind of said earlier about investing into some seeds today, which basically become a growth lever in 5 years from now. So we are an international company, so to speak, today, as we stand today. And we are a conglomerate structure in India where we are chasing multiple opportunities like insurance, consumer auctions. And now we are also kind of looking to open used car showrooms. And the experiments have been really, really successful in the brand name Trustmark, where we'll be selling used cars to consumers and eliminate their worries about owning a used car.
Okay. So aren't these like very asset heavy plays, like buying used cars from customers? Isn't that very asset heavy? Yeah, even opening a showroom.
So you're right. These are asset heavy businesses. And initially we were asset light, where we were doing needs and media businesses. But we realized over the years that to own the market, you need to deliver a great consumer experience. अगर आपने customer experience deliver नहीं किया, तो आपकी कंपनी की लॉन्जेटिविटी बहुत ज्यादा नहीं है. बिकॉज आपने लेट से लीड आगे दे दी, पर आगे उसका फॉलोअप ढंग से नहीं हुआ, उसका हैंड होल्डिंग ढंग से नहीं हुआ, या उसका कार बाइंग के बाद ओनिंग का एक्सपीरियंस ढंग से नहीं हुआ. तो लॉट ऑफ चैलेंजेस आर देयर इफ यू want to build a long-term value for the customer. So हमारे सारे प्रोडक्ट्स जो हैं कस्टमर के अराउंड बिल्ट हैं, frankly, ecosystem. And to own the full customer experience, you need to have your skin in the game also, which is where the asset heaviness comes from. And let's say किसी कस्टमर को गाड़ी खरीदनी है, इन्वेंट्री मान लो डीलर ने दी नहीं, तो आप क्या कर लो? या कोई तो या फिर बैंक आपकी रिवर्स ऑक्शन है जहाँ पे एट द एंड ऑफ द ऑक्शन देयर इज अ डीलर and he does not bid for your car, then you will not be able to offer a price to your consumer at that immediate instant. You might be able to offer him a price later, but immediate आप उसको नहीं कर पा रहे हो. उसका RC ट्रांसफर करवा रहे हो पर immediately नहीं करा पा रहे, महीना लग रहा है अगेन. All those customer experiences में जो improvement चाहिए, उसमें आपको involve होना पड़ेगा. India is in a sector like cars. India is an O2O player market. It's not like a pure online market.
What do you mean O2O?
Offline to online.
Online discovery होती है, but transaction offline.
Yes, online to offline. So India is very O2O in a lot of sectors, and cars is one of them. Eventually, 10 years, 15 years from now, I can envision people even buying a car online, frankly, and especially with the advent of EV vehicles, where the opening up of dealerships and service centers is not that critical for that car. This might be a reality. So even in new car businesses, we have moved into a transaction space where we are assisting people. People still buy from dealers, but we are going into the transaction piece where we can help them transact on the platform itself for buying the car.
Well, if you have like a payment option, like someone
Yes.
can pay. Acha.
Yes. So some experiments are going on there in that sector where we, instead of supplying the lead and forgetting about it, you get involved in the transaction itself so that you can deliver the experience.
Okay. And like are people paying like मतलब वो 5 लाख से 10 लाख की पेमेंट तो होगी ना वो
ये वही बोल रहा हूँ कि अभी ये एक्सपेरिमेंटल सीरीज पे है ये वाले बिजनेसेस. These are not the major bets we are doing right now. Major bets अभी यूज कार्स के अंदर है, जहाँ पे हम लोग ये ट्रस्ट मार्क के शोरूम्स खोल रहे हैं बेसिकली. एंड वी हैव ओपनड इन 2 cities एंड द रिजल्ट्स हैव बीन गुड. और जो कार बाइंग वाले बिजनेसेस हैं जहाँ पे हम लोग गाड़ियां खरीद रहे हैं, दोज वी are 50 plus stores हमारे, and those are also kind of like 1.5 year old experiments which are doing well now.
Okay. So, Indian consumers are, compared to the West, Indian consumers are not the most ethical. मतलब there is such a high risk कि आप जो used car खरीदोगे उसमें hidden defects निकले हैं, वो सारे मतलब is that a problem or is it just something which I think is a problem but actually नहीं है वो?
So we have a very exhaustive inspection process through which we are able to ascertain the vehicles. We have 100 plus checkpoints, and we have a kit which basically looks at the engine, suspension, everything, paint, gauge, तो painted है नहीं है, क्या problem है क्या नहीं है, तो वो सारा कुछ equipment के साथ हमारी inspectors inspect the vehicle, and based on that condition we basically ascertain what the value should be.
So all that data is fed in and then your algorithm throws up a price.
Yes.
Okay.
There's an AI ML engine which basis of this report gives out a price along with the other macro variables, which is the basic ones, mileage and year of manufacturer and whatnot.
And then you stock these cars in your showrooms, like once you buy them.
So if you think in the play that we are doing, what are we doing exactly? हम लोग ecosystem play कर रहे हैं. Ecosystem से मेरा मीन है कि we have a circle of services which a new car buyer or a used car buyer will basically eventually end up taking in his experiences with auto as a sector. तब वो चाहे इंश्योरेंस के राउंड हो, चाहे लोन के राउंड हो, चाहे न्यू कार खरीदने के राउंड हो, चाहे यूज कार खरीदने के राउंड हो, चाहे यूज कार बेचने के राउंड हो, चाहे न्यू कार और यूज्ड कार के अंदर जो ओवरलैप है विच इज ट्रेडिंग एक्सचेंज के राउंड हो. So we are the only players which is doing a full stack ecosystem play across all these services.
What about servicing, like the mechanical maintenance?
As of now, we are not chasing that opportunity, like the learning that I said about where you don't want to do too many things at the same time and not do good at a few of them. It's a great opportunity, I think, but we'll probably focus it on a time where we have built enough traction into these businesses, and then we look at this.
But you could look at an acquisition in that space. There are companies like say Go Mechanic hai, and there might be others also.
At the right time, I think those things can be thought of as well. So, car ownership space ke andar, what are the ways to enter? What are the services you would want to offer? You need to think about those things rather than just service.
Okay, got it.
Car buying space and car owning space.
Okay. So today, who are your competitors? I mean, I know one is, of course, Droom is like a recent entrant, and how do you see Droom as a competitor? Like, and who else are there?
So, देखो, like I said, we are doing multiple businesses in various degrees of maturity. तो हमारे अलग-अलग competitors हैं. New car space में we had car वाले. Used car space के अंदर consumer auctions में there is Cars 24. Classifieds में there is OLX. Insurance में there is a Policy Bazaar. Financial services में there is Bank Bazaar. Then there is on the other used car classified side, Droom and all the other smaller players are there. Car Trade is there in the other auction space, B2B auction space. तो हर field में different competitor है हमारा. And because of the ecosystem play that we are doing, we are able to, in spite of raising, let's say, 20-30% of capital that the other people would have raised, we are able to do a better job at the thing because of the ecosystem synergy. What I mean by that is that, let's say, मैं inspection करता हूँ किसी vehicle की, तो मेरा जो inspection का जो cost आता है, that gets divided into my insurance business. Okay, insurer को report होती है. My banking financial services business, because bank को वैल्यू अंडरराइट करने के लिए भी रिपोर्ट चाहिए होती है. हमारे कार ऑप्शन बिजनेस वेयर जहाँ पे उस गाड़ी की रिपोर्ट के ऊपर डीलर गाड़ी खरीदता है उस बिजनेस, तो ये कॉस्ट मेरी 3-4 बिजनेस में डिवाइड हो जाती है. इफ यू इमेजिन अदर प्लेयर्स डूइंग द सेम थिंग, तो उनको तो अपने सेक्टर में पूरी कॉस्ट आउट करनी पड़ती है इन द कंट्रीब्यूशन मार्जिन. So because of ecosystem play, I am able to kind of have a much better unit economics across the businesses. तो मेरे डीलर की जो सेल्स फोर्स टीम है, पार्टनर सॉल्यूशंस, the team which goes to sell insurance as a product on the counter, or let's say loan as a product, or classifieds, सारे businesses से same टीम की cost share हो जाती है. So I deliver a much better unit economics on all my businesses, and I require much lesser capital than anybody else. और आज की डेट में कंट्री के 85% कस्टमर्स जो गाड़ी खरीदते हैं न्यू कार, वो ऑटोमेटिकली ऑर्गेनिकली दे कम टू माय प्रोडक्ट्स. द dependency on marketing is not there. So I get, because of the lower CAC, which has been the DNA of the company, I am able to fight all these battles with very relatively lesser capital.
Okay, amazing. So coming to capital, like आपने वो 15 million raise किया 2015 में, उसके बाद what was the journey?
फिर उसके बाद we raised money for various marketing initiatives, because to build a brand, you need to be on TV. We sponsored Big Boss, we sponsored IPL, we invested into our dealer partner relationships, we did a lot of events. तो ये सब करते करते हम लोगों ने सीरीज सी तक रेज कर लिया. सीरीज डी के ऊपर हम लोग आ गए हैं. And we in the last round we were able to kind of be close to 800 million valuation, and as we speak now, we should be more than $1 billion now, but we have not done a fundraise, so it's not announced yet. But in the next fundraise, hopefully, we'll also cross that unicorn tag.
Wow, amazing. And when are you planning the next fundraise?
This year.
Okay. Yeah, so you're already in talks.
Yes. Decks are ready. We are trying to. Abhi COVID mein, but otherwise, structurally, we are ready. We have the plans ready. Capital deployment plan is ready. Everything's ready.
Achha. And are you like operationally profitable? Like of course you need brand building के लिए investments, and new bets के लिए you need investments, but like operational level पे?
So to answer this question, as a group, we have had different businesses in different stages of maturity. हमारा न्यू कार business तो heavily profitable है today as we speak. हमारा जो ये वाले businesses, used car related businesses हैं, insurance and financial services are almost break even now. And the used car businesses where we are trying to do owning the transaction and whatnot, that is a investment oriented business. So overall as a group, we have different plans for different businesses in terms of their growth margins or EBITDA, and the capital raise is linked to those deployment and marketing plans. Group wise, we're loss making, if you to answer you, but at a so we measure contribution margins, economics ka term hai CM. So at contribution margins of each business, we'll slice and dice at that level कि कौन सा business कौन से contribution margin पे EBITDA positive होना चाहिए.
Okay. नहीं, मुझे ये समझ नहीं आया. What do you mean by contribution margin? If you can just like give me an example ना.
Example देता हूँ. CM1, CM2, CM3, CM4 4 लेवल पे हम लोग मेजर करते हैं. Where कोई भी बिजनेस आप करते हो तो उसकी जो डायरेक्ट कॉस्ट है वो एक CM1 में आ गई, उसकी जो इनडायरेक्ट कॉस्ट है एफिलिएट और ये वो CM2 में आ गई, उससे जो और जो कॉस्ट है जो उसके कंट्रोल में नहीं बिजनेस के, बट इट इज कंट्रोल बाय लेट्स से अदर हॉरिजॉन्टल फंक्शंस, वो CM3 में आ गई. एंड उसके अराउंड जो कॉर्पोरेट कॉस्ट है, ब्रांड बिल्डिंग, लॉन्ग टर्म ब्रांड बिल्डिंग एंड व्हाटनॉट, CM4 में आ गई. So there are definitions of how you classify your expenses across each contribution margin, and we have done that as a group, and we have targets ki let's say X business needs to be profitable at CM2 level, तो उसके आगे CM3 CM4 पे इन्वेस्ट कर देगी कंपनी, और वो CM3 should become positive in let's say 2 years from now. So that level of calculated business model planning is done so that we are on a path to profitability at each business level. Otherwise, with money, sometimes corruption creeps in where you just keep on raising and keep on bleeding, and you never build a sustainable business.
So this model that you're following of CM1, 2, 3, 4, is this like a standard model or something?
It's a standard economics model, but we kind of live by it.
Okay. And are you still largely a Jaipur company?
So we are now promoters sit out of Jaipur, me and Amit, but most of the other leadership, because of talent density, has been hired in Gurgaon. So both Jaipur and Gurgaon are equally big centers now. Although people in Jaipur like to say Jaipur is the headquarters.
Okay, okay. What is your head count now?
We should be close to about 5,000 people now.
And इसमें मतलब कितने लोग होंगे जो feet on street होंगे, कितने होंगे जो like think people like the mechanics who do the inspection and all of them are on payroll? Yeah, like what is your headcount comprise of?
तो अभी तो basic core product and technology would be close to 600 people, 600 के आसपास. Leadership team and strategy 100-150 के आसपास होगी, जो high band level के employees है. Then call center will be around 1500 के आसपास. Operations. Then there will be content team, editorial team around 100 के आसपास होगी. बाकी सारे फिर store managers और runners और वो होंगे थोड़े बहुत, and then inspectors होंगे across cities.
Like you have people who go to dealers and like onboard dealers and all that.
तो हर शहर में प्रेजेंस है वहाँ पे, तो वो टीम मोटा मोटी मतलब बेसिकली सारी जो फील्ड टीम मिला मिलू के मतलब विल बी क्लोज टू अबाउट 1500 लोग,
which is very lean considering your size.
Yes, lean तो पता नहीं, but I think as and when and that's I'm talking about future, जितना जितना डिजिटल लिटरेसी आएगी उतना डिपेंडेंसी ऑन फील्ड मुझे लगता है कम होने वाली है in times to come. When if you look at let's say companies like Google, in the market like US, they don't have much team which goes to businesses, and their products are built in a way where a company can basically sign up and do it themselves. India mein you can do the same thing, sign up and do it yourself. But they also have a reseller team here, which basically assists in spreading digital literacy on their products. So India अभी उस stage पे नहीं है, but eventually I think the dependency on people will reduce in years to come.
Mm-hmm. So how do you manage 5,000 people? Matlab, you started in 2007-8 with 20 people. As a founder, how do you learn to manage 5,000 people? मतलब मैं सोच भी नहीं सकता, मेरा headcount अभी 50 लोग है, and जो मुझे लगता है कि is like touching my limit, and so how do you move from that to managing 5,000?
So standard practices are followed here. Okay, यहाँ पे ना you make sure that there are in the reporting structures there is no one person who has more than 10 people reporting to him, for so that you are able to do a better job at managing your people. And the group is divided into conglomerate structure. There are CEOs for each business unit, and they are empowered enough to take their own calls. So we don't micromanage as promoters into what the insurance CEO is doing or what used car CEO is doing. They have to run their show in a way. We have a SLT meeting where we, all of us senior leadership team of about 10 people, they meet every Monday, once a week, to discuss their challenges and synergies or support required from each other. So our job is to actually run the SLT, and the SLTs run their teams and they have structures within their teams to run their teams. That's the way to scale a organization, so that it is not a promoter-led organization.
Okay. So you're saying delegation and decentralization is critical to grow.
Correct. And empowering people with decision making, and also giving them room to make mistakes.
And at the same time, I think measurement is also important, because you have put in place like these strong systems to measure performance, and that measurement means people are held accountable.
Of course, we are a very data-oriented organization from beginning, and even today, we are very data-oriented. We discuss things on numbers and not on sentiments.
Okay. And so, initially your hiring was when you were yourselves interviewing like the first 20 people. How do you hire today?
Today again वही हर व्यू की अपनी नीड्स हैं, तो उसमें जो जिस लेवल पे हायरिंग हो रही होती है, उस व्यू में जो इंटरव्यू पैनल होता है वो बेसिकली लेता है डिपेंडिंग ऑन, फॉर ईच प्रोफाइल देयर इज अ इंटरव्यू पैनल, एंड उस इंटरव्यू पैनल से लोग सिलेक्ट होते हैं, एंड देयर इज अ ट्रांसपेरेंट प्रोसेस ऑफ हायरिंग पीपल.
Okay. Great. So what is your role now? Between you and Amit, what is your role? Because now you have CEOs of each business. So what do you spend your time on? Because a lot of operational stuff is not really in your kitty anymore, no?
Business growth and synergy amongst businesses. Amit's role is primarily that, and my role is primarily into product technology and support functions, where all the businesses that are doing in their product and technology and the support functions, what are they doing and how are they performing, and reviewing them. And Amit is heavily focused into the incubation leadership team that we have set up, and the synergy across the businesses verticals that we have, the CEOs have.
Okay. So your tech team is like centralized or split up? Like each business has their own tech team, or there's like a central tech team which works on products for all businesses?
Each business has its own tech team, but they report into a dotted matrix structure, one to the business and one to the centralized CPTO position that we have. It's a dual structure.
Got it. Okay. And so do you also incubate startups? Like, or by incubation, you mean like, planting seeds where you decide, acha, is idea pe experiment karte, and then you hire a team and like.
So we do that, but only in the relevant spaces. So we, in terms of which have synergy to our businesses now.
As in you fund startups?
We don't fund. We basically we call our people entrepreneurs. So we have not funded any company as such that we have let's say own 30% of some company, but we basically do either a full acquisition or a startup within the company which is aligned with the group.
Mm-hmm. And you and Amit don't do like angel investments, like typically most founders after a certain point also become angel investors.
We have not done that so far. I think we have stayed away from that temptation.
Achha, why is that? Like, why do you use the word temptation there?
I feel that till the point we give our investors a return. I mean, if I believe in a startup, तो मैं अपनी startup में invest करूँगा ना. Why would I go to any other startup? It is my capital. So it's like as a investor, you hedge your risks, right? तो मैं तो सारे risk अपनी company पे लेके बैठा हूँ ना. What message does it give it to my investors that I put my capital into 5 other startups and not my startup? I don't think it's a cool message.
Okay, that's a very unique perspective. Huh? But look, there'll be very few founders who will think like this. I mean, most of the big name founders are active angel.
I don't judge them. I'm not saying that what they're doing is wrong, but it's a different way of thinking. And I'm not saying that I'll never do it. But until the point where I give my investors a return, I think once I start giving my investors a return on their investments, those point I think I can also hedge my portfolio, but not before that.
So, what is your long-term exit for your investors? What are you thinking of? Are you thinking of an IPO or what?
IPO is the only logical choice for us.
And what is the timeline you have on that? Internally, do you have a timeline?
Pre-COVID, though, we used to think that 2023 should be the year. But COVID ne almost kya kiya hai, kya nahi kiya. We are still unclear. But in 2 to 3 years, I think we should be probably in that stage where public markets should be willing to look at us.
Okay. So, COVID has really helped some businesses. Are you one of those, or has it been neutral, or has it been negative?
So, obviously, during the immediate COVID lockdown last year, for a good 2 months, business was standstill. But auto as a sector bounced back really well after post the lockdown phase. So, we also did well as a company in that space. So as we speak, last month was the best ever month in the entire history of the company. But again, the current situation has become very bad. So we don't know what's going to happen now. But we do believe that personal mobility is going to rise. I mean, this is like a blip in the wave. Since the wave is at a high, things will slow down a bit. But once the wave goes down a bit, personal mobility will rise again faster. It will be one of the sectors to bounce back much faster than the others.
Okay. Are you at liberty to tell me what turnover you got this year, like this financial year, jo abhi complete hua hai?
So we are on a run rate of more than 100 million now.
Okay, 100 million annual turnover.
Yes, and I'm not talking GMV. I'm talking about net margin to us. GMV is much larger. I mean, a lot of competitors talk about GMVs in their turnover, which is misleading. So if a vehicle value is 4 lakh rupees and we get 10,000 out of it, we recognize 10,000 as when I talk about our revenue.
I think Droom का कुछ GMV play के साथ they had made some very massive claims. I remember reading a controversy about that. Okay, okay. And what do you see as the impact of EVs? Like there is well, auto sector is at a stage where 10 साल बाद it will be unrecognizable. जो आज जो stage है और जो 10 साल बाद होगी because of these large global trends of electronic vehicles and like self-driving. So what do you think that how will that impact your business? Or, what?
So our business will stay unimpacted because the demand of buying a car is going to be there. We are on the customer side of the thing. So how that demand is fulfilled, which is the technology side on the product offering, if that changes, it doesn't change how the way we operate. In fact, it is going to benefit us in a way that online journeys will be much more smaller, and the buying decision will also be more crisper. अभी क्या है कि what transformation though मुझे लगता है that the traditional internal combustion engine में बहुत सारे moving parts होते हैं and there's a lot of after sales service market, spares market, सारे markets हैं उसके around and EV which is more of a battery motor component based vehicle उसमें बहुत limited parts होते हैं and the need of servicing and all those things is also not there. So that will significantly change the car ownership experience. It will not change the car buying experience. So but वो dealership वाला जो concept है वो थोड़ा सा fading करने लग जाएगा. I mean, imagine a time when mobile phone of values more than 50,000 online अभी पूरे बिकते हैं mostly. Very few people buy it offline. There's a market out there, but still it's a very accepted fact that you can buy a mobile worth 50,000 online. So from that perspective, I think e-bikes will catch on the trend first. Cars will catch it on later. But the car buying experience will start to change beyond dealerships. That's one change I feel. The car owning experience will be disrupted significantly with all these service shops and the spares and lubricants and all those things. Try looking at what to do to survive the change. And beyond that, I think all vehicles will be connected. Self-drive, I think, is not going to be very, very effective for India because people don't follow rules as such. You expect people to behave unexpected in fashion. So sensor-based चलेगा नहीं बहुत ज़्यादा मुझे लगता है इंडिया के अंदर. Till the point all cars are sensor-based and they can talk to each other.
Okay. But are you like also looking at getting into those kind of fields like self-driving and all that, like because your DNA is a tech company and these are all like tech innovations?
तो अभी तो नहीं है. There's no plans to look at those things. We however did a connected vehicle component called Uplink, so which is like a device you can plug it into an old car, and then you can get your car statistics into mileage and driving and routes and coverages and drive quality and whatnot through that device. It's a new startup which we have incubated within the company.
Acha. So this would be for like fleet owners where they...
You can also retail it. You could also sell it to retail fleet owners. You can also, as an individual, own that small device. If you don't have a connected car, you can buy that device. All cars come with an OBD port. उस OBD port पे आप एक device plug कर दो. It will draw power from your battery and not drain it out and give you vehicle statistics on your app.
So that's how you build a unicorn from Jaipur. And don't forget to use Cardekho for all things related to car ownership.
If you like the Founder Thesis podcast, then do check out our other shows on subjects like marketing, technology, career advice, books, and drama. Visit thepodium.in, that is thepodium.in for a complete list of all our shows.